Are you building your dreams or just wishing for them? Today, we're cracking open the gap between what we say we want and what our actions and sometimes our pocketbooks actually prove. If you've considered starting a business or have a business that is not quite yet thriving, this show is for you. We'll explore your motivations behind starting a business, whether it's about ego, approval, purpose, or service, and get honest about the difference that it makes. Hey, sales hunters, welcome to season 2 of Beyond the Business Plan, where heart meets hustle and every episode inspires you on your entrepreneurial journey. I'm LeAnn Lyon, and together we'll chart new courses, tackle challenges, and celebrate those big wins with expert guests, honest stories, and plenty of joy along the way. If you love the show, tap follow, subscribe, leave a quick review, or join our conversation with hashtag JoyMinder, because your support helps us reach and inspire more entrepreneurs. Set sail on your business adventure with Beyond the Business Plan. Are you building your dreams or just wishing for them? Today, we're cracking open the gap between what we say we want and what our actions and sometimes our pocketbooks actually prove. If you've considered starting a business or have a business that is not quite yet thriving, this show is for you. We'll explore your motivations behind starting a business, whether it's about ego, approval, purpose, or service, and get honest about the difference that it makes. I'm going to share some real stories from famous faces like Mr. Rogers to people in my own life about turning hardship into purpose and making desire align with real decisions. Plus, I'll get personal with the struggle between my own goals and what actually shows up in my calendar. So if you're ready to audit your motivations, learn how money and time reveal the truth, and walk away today with simple steps, you're in the right place. Let's get started. My name is LeAnn Lyon. I am the host of this show, as well as the host of the upcoming Beyond the Business Plan Summit. And that is my pleasure to be here today. Let's get honest about what's really fueling your entrepreneurial dreams or personal goals. Is it about impressing other people and feeling important? Or is it about putting your gifts to work, solving real problems, and creating meaningful impact? Now, that might sound like a super loaded question, like I'm going to tell you which is the right one. There really isn't a right or wrong. I'm going to start out with that because no matter where you start, no matter what your motivation initially is, you will be constantly evolving, constantly changing, and have the opportunity to do so. And to be fair, a lot of people who start a business start it because they do want something more in their life. Maybe a bigger space to live in, maybe a nicer car to drive, maybe more just freedom and time freedom, time with their family. There's so many reasons people start businesses. I believe that we have a calling, that you're here listening to this because maybe you're in a not right fit job or something that you started when you were 20 years old just doesn't match your desires now when you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, or beyond. You're called into entrepreneurship. So, my friend Lisa and I had a really great conversation this past week. I had just come back from vacation, and I tell you, it was great. It was so great. 8 days, my husband and I drove 2,500 miles, and we were listening to the book High Performance Habits by Brendan Burchard. Really great book. Highly encourage you to listen to it, but listening to it or reading it is not enough. You have to implement this. And then I come back, and this week's sermon happened to be about, what does God want with your money? Oh, wait, no, not money, but time, your heart. Where is that in your life? And so this has just all been kind of coming together, and that's why I'm led to actually produce this show for you. So, Lisa and I were talking earlier this week about what is the motivation behind the things we do. Let's say a social media post. Is it to say, look at me, I'm so amazing. You should follow me just because I'm me. Or actually, I think Brendan Bouchard said it this way in his book. He said, when you walk into a room, are you walking in with a here I am attitude, or you come into a meeting, is it here I am, or is it, oh, there you are? Guess which one makes people feel most special, right? So the difference between ego and service, I just don't know how much more eloquently I could possibly explain it than using somebody else's examples, quite frankly, not my ego. But Lisa and I had a really just great conversation about it. It's been spiraling through my head for days. And in truth, I believe that things happen for a reason. When I got home from church today, I popped on to a podcast that I've been listening to, and Mr. Rogers' story popped up. And I thought, well, I'll just listen to that in the background while I do a few other things. And it was so intriguing. In fact, I'm going to cover it later on in the show. So I just think things happen for a reason in our lives. We're given our gifts and our talents and our desires even for a reason. And really want to encourage you to ask yourself, is your motivation for business rooted in ego or in honoring those talents and desires that you have? I do think that naming your why clearly matters for fulfillment and resilience. Because ultimately, there is a proverb. In the book of Proverbs, there's actually 31 chapters. So some people actually try to read through an entire chapter every single day, but each chapter is filled with a whole bunch of verses that are all these little nuggets of wisdom that were written out. Many think it was by King Solomon. And so, anyway, all that to say, Proverbs 19, so in the 19th chapter of the book of Proverbs, verse number 21, it says, many are the plans in a person's heart, but it is the Lord's purpose that prevails. And that just goes on to say, we can be ego driven, or we can dig into saying, what am I doing for me? Or what am I doing for that deeper purpose? In my case, I say the Lord's purpose, that is calling me forward, that says, this is what I want to do, this is what I want to accomplish, and this is why. So there's a lot to that, and I encourage you to think about that. We'll get back into unpacking what truly motivates us in just a minute. But first, here's a quick break. Don't go anywhere, because up next is one of the most powerful stories you'll hear. Hey, sales setters, do you need energy without the crash? Check out the lifestyle section in our resources on joyminder.com/resources for delicious, healthier coffee alternatives to boost your focus and fuel your hustle. Skip the jitters, love your brew. You can also go directly to whyilovemycoffee.com, and I'll see you there. All right, let's dive back in. Thanks for sticking with me. This next part might just change the way you see your own journey. Let's look at how personal hardship can shape extraordinary purpose. Now, I learned a whole bunch about Mr. Rogers. If you don't know who that is, worth looking into potentially, especially if you're in the younger side. You may not have ever seen Mr. Rogers, but me, my age group, people even younger than me, all knew who Mr. Rogers was because he had a TV show on that we just loved to watch. He used puppets and play and a very soft tone of voice to help kids actually learn how to deal with their emotions. And he did this, it turns out, because he had nobody in his life when he was a child to help him through some very difficult things. Now, he actually grew up quite wealthy, but he was very isolated, very isolated. He didn't have playmates. He didn't really have a lot of engagement with his parents, especially his father. And on top of it, he was very sickly with asthma and all. He was sick in bed for like 47 days. I could be wrong on the number. With a couple of severe illnesses when he was a child, like really little. And yet, even the things that happen to us before we maybe have memories, they stick with us, they affect us. And so he had a very lonely, sickly childhood, and it inspired a very deep empathy for children, ultimately changing the world. He ended up going into ministry, which is fascinating because that's not what his television show was ever about. But through puppets and play, he was able to impact generations, not just one generation, but multiple generations of children. And in fact, the offshoot of that show is still playing, and in fact, was renewed now to be going on into 2026. So even today's children may be experiencing the impact. I think the current show, I don't recall the name of it, but it is based on his notes, his show notes, and the things that he created. He wrote over 200 songs. He was extraordinarily gifted in many different ways. But it all stemmed from hardship that he had to endure, that he had to go through, that he had to feel through. And then it grew into just this conviction that children shouldn't have to live that way. And it, created the entire legacy that he left behind. Similarly, I was just at a Bible study, and a woman shared her story of just extraordinary hardship with her third pregnancy, and almost losing her daughter. Now, that one struck a chord with me because I had a similar situation with our firstborn, where we really were minute to minute, not really knowing what was going to happen. It's a horribly hard time to live through. And in that woman's case, though, her daughter ended up in the NICU, which is the neonatal intensive care unit, for 40 days. But while their daughter was in there, this woman and her husband had recently become Christians, and they spent lots of time praying over their daughter. Well, there was one charge nurse in particular who observed this about them and watched them day after day after day, their faith, their prayers. And while that is not a guarantee that we are going to have a happy outcome, they did have a happy outcome. Praise God. So did we. And at the end of it, when they were able to take their daughter home, that charge nurse observed them as they gave thanks and praise and whispered a quiet little amen at the end. Well, they kept in touch with that woman over time. And since then, she has also given her life to Jesus. She's also become a Christian and now spreads the words. You go through a hard time, you think, why me? Have you ever thought that? Why me? And I encourage you, if you're thinking about starting a business and maybe you're not sure what that business could be, what have you gone through that you would love to help other people navigate? I know people have gone into working with divorced people for that reason. They've gone into helping disabled children, people. In fact, I just had a conversation. I'm looking for the note here. A gentleman who works with sensory friendly events. Why do you think so? Because he sees the need to have sensory friendly events. And now that's become his passion. It's become his business. So sometimes looking at your hardships can become that message that comes from your mess. If you've not heard that term before, it's just powerful. So we need to ask ourselves, is our dream really about what we can get? Or is it maybe about how we can give? To wrap this segment up, I want to add in there's a book called Colossians. It's actually a letter that was written. And in their book 3, verse 23, it says, whatever you do, work at it with all your heart as working for the Lord and not for human masters. Because you have to realize there's never been a hearse with a U-Haul behind it, right? So thinking about what you're doing this for, what's your legacy long term? What legacy are you creating? Are you creating a legacy for loved ones or for a charity or for whatever it is? Take a look at beyond what you'll get out of it. What are you creating a business for? And now let's get practical. Are you saying you want something but not backing it up? I can give you so many examples. Sadly, I have told myself many different things. I've told myself that I should write a book about being unoffendable. And yet, if you look at my calendar, I don't have any blocks of time for writing. I've said I want to go back and get my second degree black belt. My first one's over here. That's great. Do you know how many classes I've attended in martial arts in the last 5 years? That would be a big goose egg. So my time, my calendar, and even my pocketbook are not lining up all the time with what I say my goals are, right? Now, to be fair, anybody own a gym membership? You're paying the money, but again, are you blocking the time? But if you block the time and you dedicate it and you stick to it and you don't just be like, oh, I should be going to the gym now, and then don't go. That's maybe not the best example because I think a lot of people do that. But if you block the time for something that really is your passion, such as maybe writing a book or starting a business, won't you end up wanting to put some money behind it as well? Money follows where the heart leads. Think about that. Money will follow where the heart leads. If your heart, by the way, your heart can be very fickle. That's a whole nother topic. But if your heart's like, I want potato chips, really lame example, right? Maybe, but maybe not. Do you not eventually go out and spend money on potato chips? Now, if your heart says, I want potato chips, but you know better and you have stronger convictions that you're not going to do that, then maybe not. Then the money won't follow, and then your heart is actually not set on having potato chips. Your heart is set on the health and the wellness that you really wish to pursue. Am I making sense? So, likewise, with the whole writing a book, I haven't blocked the time. Now, I have bought some books to research, see what other people have written, understand the subject matter that I want to write more about. And of course, I'll have a different perspective on it. So I have invested some money in it. I have invested some time to begin reading those books and to start putting some thoughts together. But it's not truly in my calendar. It's more like, oh, there's that book. I should pick it up again. And so when you want to start a business, are you blocking the time to actually start investing yourself into that business, into doing the things that you need to do? Now, I have a thing on, if you go to joyminder.com, click on download the sailing system, that will actually start to get those juices flowing for you. It can help you get started on some thoughts. You can block a little bit of time, go through that. That could help you, and it's completely free. So just go to get it and download it, and it's all good. But, take the time, block the time, and then as you go through it, you may discover, you know what, I need to put some money behind this. You're going to need a CRM, a contact management system. Which one are you going to use? I have some suggestions. You're also maybe going to decide, you know what, I need to hire a coach. I know a few people. So these are the things that you may end up deciding, hey, if I'm really going to be serious about starting a business or improving my business, if you've already started one, investing into your business with those types of things can be a very smart move as well. The money follows the heart, but your heart can be seen in black and white in your calendar and your bank statement. So here's how to do a true self audit. It's not that complicated. Open your calendar, open your bank statement, and do your choices match what you say is important? A couple that I talked with this morning said, you know what? We just did this a few days ago. We opened up our bank statements and we realized exactly how much money we have been spending at coffee shops. And so while we say that giving is important to us, or that giving to charitable opportunities is important to us, we're spending X number of dollars at coffee shops. So take a look at your bank statement. Where are you spending your money and where are you putting your time? In Ephesians 5, 15 and 16, it says, "Be very careful then how you live, not as unwise, but as wise, making the most of every opportunity." And if you want a little bit deeper dive, there is something called the parable of the talents. I'm not going to read it right now, but if you have a thought that you have some talents and gifts that have been placed in your heart and in your life, look up the parable of the talents because it may convict you as to exactly how important it is that you pursue those dreams and desires. So, before we wrap up this episode with some concrete steps you can take today to move closer to your goals, here's a quick message for you. Hey, sail setters, want to navigate your success with ease? Download the Sailing System, your practical guide to charting a course, setting goals, and growing with purpose. Find it now at joyminder.com or check the show notes below for your roadmap to results. And we're back. Now, let's talk action because reflection is powerful, but change happens when you do something different. The real power of living out your motivation comes from consistent, purpose-aligned action, however small. Pick one thing you care about and commit to a micro step. Actually, Brendan Bouchard even says, look, pick 5 steps that will get you where you want to go and put timestamps on them. Set them up. Make a plan on how you're going to execute and reach a goal that you set. Block off the time. Make an investment or take a visible action that matches your deepest values. One step you can take, and this goes back to the sailing system. The S is about setting your course. We are clarifying what you're going to do or how you're going to do it in your own head. But the A, anchor your readiness, is where you start to talk to the people closest to you, start to figure out who's going to support you, start to explain what you have in mind. And by the way, it might not be people closest to you because often they don't want you to change. But finding out who will support you, who will listen to you, who will encourage you. And hey, I'm going to raise my hand here. I love to work with up and coming entrepreneurs and help lay out that plan and help strategize on exactly where you can go to move forward. Why does this matter? Because building anything just hodgepodge, seeing what you throw at the wall and see what sticks, that's the spaghetti method. It can deliver quick results, but rarely delivers lasting fulfillment. Again, this kind of goes back to what I said at the beginning. If you're building out of ego, here's another aside, EGO, some people say that's edging God out. But if you're choosing strictly to go out of ego and just a hodgepodge of, hey, I'll work on it when I have time, and oh no, I'm just going to do it on a shoestring budget, these are all excuses that, for the most part, won't work. But choosing a purpose-driven path, serving others, solving a problem, supporting a cause, creates much deeper satisfaction and impact, especially when you tie that to a strategic plan, putting it into your calendar and investing into yourself or into the tools or into the knowledge, the classes, whatever it is that you need to take, the 5 big steps that you need to take to achieve your goals. And that's what I've got for you. Quick and easy, a little bit shorter than sometimes, but I encourage you, if you have a dream, if you're doing something that is just not fulfilling to you, maybe you're even making good money, but you just know that there's a deeper meaning, a deeper purpose for what you're supposed to be doing. You have a calling, a longing, and maybe it's not even as a career initially. Maybe it's a side hustle. Maybe it's something you're doing in addition to. For example, I don't plan to make any money on this at all, but I did decide while on vacation that rather than spending time playing, let's say, solitaire on my phone, I am going to pick up crochet. and crochet, working on some crochet and using my hands and using my brain to create something. And who knows what I'll create. Right now, I can barely create a straight line, but eventually, maybe it's mittens, or maybe it's socks, or maybe it's a blanket that I can give to somebody or myself and make something actually useful out of my time. And I can still listen to great books, great sermons, different things that I want to hear. That's how I actually ended up listening to this thing about Mr. Rogers. So no matter where you fall on the spectrum of I want to start something new, or I just want a little extra on the side, whatever the case is, come on over to joyminder.com. Download the sailing system. Like I said, it's completely free. Go through the questionnaire. Maybe this will stir up some things for you. And of course, I'd love to hear from you. You can book some time with me. We can talk about your idea. I can give you some guidance on different ways that you could maybe carry out it. Maybe I'll know somebody that you need to know. I love, love, love connecting people. So I can't always make the connection, but I had a rewarding experience just today. A woman, again, at my church who has an event that she does quarterly, and she wants to be in different spaces. Well, my daughter happens to be on a worship team at another church, and one of her worship team members just opened a event space. So I asked for the connection, got the connection, met her, connected her to my friend, and I just found out that in December they will be doing an event together. And that makes me so happy. Does it make me any money? No, not at all. But do you know how happy it makes me? Now, granted, I'm not allergic to making money, and I do charge for my time and services in certain capacities, such as real estate. But if there's something that I can do to point you in the right direction and it works out, I would love to hear about it, because that just makes my day. Share one more quick story. Similarly, I went to a networking event and a man approached me. I did not recognize him. Not at all. But he said, "Oh, LeAnn, I have been looking for you because a couple of years ago, you made an introduction between my business and another business. One of them was an author, I remember that. And the other one worked with kids in an after-school program." He said, "You put us together. We've not talked to you about it, but we have both just exploded our businesses because of working with each other." Again, why am I recalling that? Because that makes more difference to me, really, than making another dollar here and there, right? So all good. I think we're good. So let's wrap this up. And I want to thank you. Thank you for joining me, LeAnn, on Beyond the Business Plan, the podcast leading up to Beyond the Business Plan, the summit coming soon in January. And also, we do the summit 3 times a year. So January, May, and September, to unleash your joyful business. Remember, entrepreneurship is a voyage you can take with others. You do not have to be alone. So find your tribe for the journey. And if this episode inspired you, be sure to like or subscribe on your favorite platform and share it with others. Keep aligning with your purpose and Joyminder, and visit my website, download the sailing system, and book a call. You don't have to walk this entrepreneurial path alone. Keep spreading the joy, keep leading with heart, and I'll catch you on the next wave of success. Hey, sales setters, are you ready to launch or refresh your business? Join us at the very next Beyond the Business Plan Summit for breakthrough strategies and inspiration. Visit joyminder.com/summit or check the link in the show notes for our incredible list of speakers and topics, and let's go beyond business plans together. Thank you for sailing with us, sail setters. Remember, your journey goes beyond the business plan. So keep charting your own course, leading with heart, and tuning in for more joy and inspiration. Find all the resources and connections in the show notes below, and your support means the world to us. So join our conversation at #Joyminder, or simply share your favorite takeaways in the comments section below. Until next time, set your sails for success.